All right, next I want to do some Middle Eastern fare. Remember how I said it's all about the flavors and the herbs and the spices. We don't want boring food, and American food is boring. Steak and potatoes, it's like, there's just no taste to it. So we're going to go outside of the United States and find other flavors from other different cultures. And I'm going to show you how to make falafel. These are a Middle Eastern bean little burger patty thing. I don't know what to call it. Normally these are deep fried, and this week my poor family has been eating falafel like 5 times this week because I was trying to get it so it worked out without deep frying it, which was kind of difficult, but I did it. So, hope you guys like it. We're going to start out with chickpeas. These are also known as garbanzo beans. I'm just going to put this down here for a sec. Now, beans in general, they help regulate your blood sugar, and they help you lose weight. They help you feel full. They're full of protein, lots of fiber, and they're great for diabetics trying to regulate their blood sugar. So we're just going to start out with chickpeas or garbanzo beans, whatever you want to call them. Now, as part of my experiment, I tried putting them in the food processor. Didn't work. Tried putting it in the blender. Didn't work. What does work is just mashing them up real quick with a potato masher. Now, if you need something super quick, you can just get a couple cans of garbanzo beans and mash those up. If you plan ahead and you want the healthier option, you prepare your beans like I've been teaching you. You soak your beans for 24 hours in some lightly acidic water, so water with either vinegar or lemon in it. Soak them for 24 hours and then slow cook them like in a crock pot for 6 to 8 hours until they're soft. So that's going to be the best option for your health, but if you just need something quick, then grabbing a can of beans is a good way to go. Now this is also something, all 3 of these things I've tried to make a meat substitute for you. So most of the time, what's your options for dinner? Like all the commercials and all the cookbooks and cooking shows I see, you know, what are your options? What's it going to be for dinner tonight? Chicken, fish, or beef, right? And that's paired up with some kind of refined carbohydrate like rice or pasta or bread. So we want to totally get away from that paradigm of having meat and refined grains for your meals and especially for dinner. We want to get into a new paradigm of let's eat like nutrient-rich, totally nutrient-dense food that's going to fill us up just like meat will and just like dairy will and just like white processed grains will, but we're going to feel a lot better. It's not going to spike our blood sugar, and it's going to give us a lot of nutrients that those bread and those processed flours, it's just empty calories. And so what we want to do is, instead of all those empty calories, fill it up with high, dense nutrition. Okay. So you get a workout too, like as I'm cooking dinner. I'm also getting a workout. It's great. So this recipe is super simple. Garbanzo beans and then onions just chopped up really small like I showed you how to do before. And some parsley chopped up really small. Some cilantro chopped up really small. Now I told you cilantro is a blood cleanser, and it's great for heavy metal poisoning, like if you're trying to get mercury or any other kind of heavy metals out of your body, cilantro does that. Parsley helps with kidney health. It helps you to dissolve kidney stones and just improve your kidney and your urine health. We also want to put in some turmeric. Now this is a lovely yellow spice that has been a big hit with the pharmaceutical industry as of late because it's got a component in it called curcumin, and that is a really great anti-inflammatory. And so they're extracting their curcumin from turmeric and putting into a pill and giving that to people that have arthritis and other problems where they need anti-inflammatories. If you just add it to your food, you're going to be getting that anti-inflammatory effect. And this is cumin. Now remember, we want to spice up our meals and make them just bursting with flavor, and cumin is a great herb for that. It's used not only in Greek food, but in Mexican food, used in chilies, that kind of stuff. We've got black pepper, salt, and some fresh garlic. We're going to use this garlic press. I love this. Now I'm just going to give you a couple little ideas about garlic. Sometimes, especially when I'm cooking for this class and we're using like 500 cloves of garlic in one day, it gets kind of tedious peeling them all. So you can get at Costco or the grocery store, you can get bags of pre-peeled garlic. So if you're one of those people that just doesn't have time, like if time is one of the things that's making you so you don't want to be in the kitchen, getting pre-peeled garlic saves you minutes, might be important to you. Now, if you just do it like this, it makes a nice little patty, kind of like if you're familiar with Indian food, like those little fried pakoras. So if you just leave it like this, you can just throw it in the oven and bake it and make some little pakoras, and they turn out really tasty. But we're not making pakoras, we're making falafel. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of starch, because what's going to happen is the water's going to come out of the onions, and it's going to make it kind of a lot softer and wetter. So we need something to dry it out and hold it together. This is arrowroot powder. You can get that at the health food store. And arrowroot powder is great. It got its name because Native Americans used to use it. Like if somebody got hit with an arrow, they would put that in there and it helped stop the bleeding and it would help take away the infection. So this is great. It's one of the It's made from the starch of the arrowroot, and it's one of the flours that helps to thicken things up. You can use it instead of cornstarch, like if you're cooking something and want to thicken it up, like gravies or sauces or whatever. Works just like cornstarch, or you can put it in things like this where you just want it to get thick and stick together. The veggie burgers that we did last class, you put arrowroot in those, and that's what holds it together instead of the eggs. Most veggie burger recipes call for eggs to hold it together, but the arrowroot powder will hold your stuff together. Now, as I tried this 5 times this week, it still was a little bit too wet, so I found some garbanzo flour. I found it at the bulk section of the health food store. It's just garbanzo beans ground up into flour. So I put that in there, and it just made it so it held together a little bit better. If you can't find garbanzo flour or arrowroot powder, I know these are kind of weird ingredients. If you can't find that, you can just use oat flour, which you just take oatmeal, like the rolled oats, stick it in the blender, make it into flour. You can throw that in instead. It's not going to make it stick quite as well, but it'll still work. Or you can just use any kind of whole grain flour, like spelt flour, or if you have whole grain bread that's dry, you can crumble it up into breadcrumbs and use that. So like in any of my recipes, if it calls for something weird that you don't have, or it's hard to find, like the garbanzo flour and the arrowroot powder, just put it on your list of things to look for next time you go to the health food store. And then just use something else, like oat flour works great, or whole grain flour works great as well. If you're not trying to avoid eggs, you can also, like in the veggie burgers, you can throw an egg in there. I wouldn't do it for this, but for that you can. So that's it. You just mix it up, and then you take this. I'm not going to do it because you don't want to wait and watch them cook for 20 minutes. Make little balls out of them, and then you just pat them flat like that. You stick them in the oven on a cookie sheet. Usually I put a little bit of coconut oil on the cookie sheet, and bake them for about 20 minutes on the first side, flip them over, and then another 10 minutes on the other side, and they'll just get brown on the outside, and then you're done. You can also fry them in a pan, but I'm the kind of person that doesn't want to be standing over the pan flipping things over. So I like just put them on a cookie sheet, line up 20 of them on a cookie sheet, throw them in the oven, and then I can do something else while they're baking. And that takes a lot of my personal time out of cooking. I like to cook where the food just takes care of itself and I don't have to take care of it. So that's one way to do it, is by baking instead of frying it in a pan. These are also great if you want to freeze them and make them ahead. So if you make a big batch of these, bake them, throw them in the freezer, then all you have to do is grab them out of the freezer, defrost them, and you've got an instant meal. These can be used in pitas. Traditionally, you take a pita bread and you stick the falafel in the pita bread with lettuce, cucumbers, tomatoes, red onion, and some tzatziki sauce, and you can eat it as a sandwich. At our house, we like to just do it as a salad, so we just do everything but the pita, chop up the lettuce and all the vegetables, throw some fresh parsley on there, put the tzatziki sauce over the top as a salad dressing, and then just break up the falafel, and it makes a really, really amazing salad that's filling because you've got the beans, you've got your fiber, you've got your flavor, and put that on the salad, and it makes a totally filling and satisfying salad, so you can have salad for your main meal if you do this. Let me just show you how to put this together. Well, actually, you guys already had it, right? Mm-hmm. What'd you think? Love it. Yeah? Thank you. You can clap. So again, make it into a pita or a salad, whatever you like. And do we have time? Yes, we have time to do the tzatziki sauce. Let's do this real quick.
Janae, did you dehydrate those as well?
The falafel?
Yes.
You can, yes. They just won't get as brown, so you can totally dehydrate them. I don't, just because the beans have already been cooked. You know, so most of the stuff in there is cooked already. But yes, totally dehydrate them if you have a dehydrator. Oh, I was going to show you this, but we'll skip it. I'll skip doing it and just tell you about it. If you don't have the time to mash up the beans and do that, like just what I did, it takes like 20 minutes, you know, from the time you start chopping to the time you put it in the oven, about 20 minutes. If you don't want to, they have pre-packaged falafel mix, and all you do is add water, stir, make it into the little patties, and then put it into the oven. I will caution you, however, we went and looked, and out of the 5 brands of falafel mix that I saw, there's only one of them that didn't have hydrogenated oil in it, or sugar, or some of the stuff that we're trying to avoid. So read the ingredients really carefully. I actually found this at an Indian market, and that was the healthiest one I found. Even the ones at the health food stores had hydrogenated oil and corn syrup and all sorts of junk in them. So just because it's at a health food store doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. Just remember that. Always read your labels. And on this label, it says ground chickpeas, ground fava beans, spice blend, which is probably your cumin and turmeric, baking soda, salt, and sesame seeds. So that is a great ingredient list that doesn't have garbage in it. The ones I found at the health food stores had a lot of crap in it. So read your ingredients carefully. Z-I-Y-A-D. I don't know if, I just found it at a little tiny Indian market. So look around, read ingredients. You can even get stuff like this online if you want to buy several boxes at a time. This just makes it really easy. Add water, stir, put it in the oven, and you're done.